for Charm TV. I think we're about to begin.
Whenever you're ready. Might have to use it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's Thursday, May 18th, 2023 docket. There are several items before the board today. Mr. Chair, do you have any preliminary words before we call cases?
No, let's get started.
All right. The first matter on the agenda for today is, I forget what the business entity's name is, Sangria LLC, trading as Sangria. Premises is located at 930 North Charles Street, holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. And this is a continuation of the April 27th, 2023 protest of renewal hearing.
Morning. What happened to the rest of the people who are with you?
I thought they had come in here, Your Honor. May I have your indulgence for a minute to poke my head out in the hallway?
Yes. Okay.
Thanks to Mr. Ockhammer for...
All right, let's identify ourselves for the record, please.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg on behalf of the licensee.
And
Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the Mount Vernon Belvedere Association of Protestants.
okay, so as you know, this case was heard previously on the protest of renewal. At the time, we continued it briefly to see if the protestors and the licensees could reach some agreement on the issues that were presented. It's my understanding that you've had several meetings. A lot of it's been facilitated by Councilman Costello, who's here, and thank you for that, and that you've reached some agreements.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want to tell us about those?
Absolutely. I provided Mr. Fogelman with this previously, but this is a list of things that we have agreed to do. We've had several productive conversations with the MVBA. Thanks to Councilman Costello for mediating those. And, you know, I think at its heart, this really breaks down to a lack of communication between the MVBA and the operators of Sangria. And so we are primarily, first of all, going to become involved in the MVBA. We're going to attend at least 3 of their meetings per year. They meet every other month, so we'll come to at least 3 of their meetings. We'll communicate more regularly with the leadership for the rest of 2023, at least monthly. And we'll provide current contact information for the operators of Sangria so that the MVBA can reach out directly to them if there are any concerns. We're going to have our private security patrol outside the establishment, both in the front and the rear, at least hourly. We're going to add lights and a security camera at the rear door, and we're going to prohibit patrons from exiting the rear of the property into that parking lot in the rear. All patrons will enter and exit onto Charles Street. We're going to lock the dumpster so that there won't be trash spilling out all over the place. And we're also going to reach out to our waste management company to see if trash can be collected on weekends so that it can hopefully minimize some of the early morning trash collection during the week and the noise that's associated with that. Also, with regard to noise, we're going to work with the liquor board inspectors and the health department to see if we can determine the sound level at which music from the establishment can be heard, whatever the appropriate distance is from the establishment. I'm told that in other cases, the health department has helped establishments put like a mark on the volume dial on their sound system inside so they can see where the sound becomes too loud that it can be heard too far away from the premises. And we're happy to work with the health department to do that. And we'll investigate other options for mitigating noise within the restaurant. So we're happy to commit to all of these things. I think everybody agreed in these meetings that the existing MOU that we have is a good document, and we don't want to renegotiate it. I don't think either party wants to reopen the MOU. But Sangria is committed to doing these additional things to hopefully address some of the
These
concerns.
may be made part of the license?
Yes.
Okay, your client didn't agree to that?
Yes.
So what remains outstanding?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. We are grateful to Councilman Costello for the 2 meetings that we attended in person here at City Hall. We are grateful for the agreement on the issues before you on the document that's just been submitted to you. As you may remember from the hearing, however, one of the biggest problems that the community perceived was the hours of 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. We agree that generally speaking, the MOU is strong, but for those 3 or 4 words, special sporting events. Unfortunately, we were not able, I thought the best way to do this was to numerize, to say, you can have this many special events a month, or you can have this many special events a year. They're not willing to do that. So the community is still in opposition today.
I thought, I may have misunderstood from Matt. I thought that you had given some thought to enumerating certain things with some kind of a notice provision for additional things.
We had offered that. We had tried to make a list of events. The problem we were having, though, in making this list is that there's a lot of things that we just don't know. There's some things that we know the dates of now, going out forward into the future, but there are other things that we just don't know about. Boxing matches being one of them. There was a recent boxing match that didn't start until 12:30. One Saturday night, and that kind of thing. We won't know we certainly won't know today if that's going to be scheduled.
Can you do it by the name of the event rather than the hour?
We could, but Your Honor, the problem that we're having is that this is the only establishment in Mount Vernon that is subject to this type of hours limitation.
But they did that to themselves.
They did it to themselves, but during the course of these discussions, we learned that the Manor, which is right next door at 924 North Charles Street, is allowed to be open until 2 o'clock in the morning, both on Friday and Saturday nights, and on Thursday nights as well. And I think a big problem that we have is the difference between perception and reality when it comes to the disturbance that the community experiences. We don't doubt that they hear noise and things happening late at night, but I think it's often unfairly attributed to Sangria when there are other establishments that are open late as well. And we really don't want to further limit our hours beyond what our neighbors are subject to.
Well, it's going to be a continued point of contention if you can't reach some kind of an agreement about it, because you're bound by your prior MOU until you renegotiate it. So all we can do is encourage you to try to work that out.
And I think opening the lines of communication between the parties will go a long way to addressing that. If we can have regular contact. I know there was an incident this past weekend that we became aware of yesterday where there was a DUI nearby, and the assumption was that it was somebody from Sangria, and that Sangria had been open late that night. I have the camera footage from Sangria. They were closed and empty at 1 o'clock in the morning. I think there is clearly a misperception that whenever something happens late at night, it must be Sangria, and it isn't borne out.
Reputations are hard to change.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's the main outstanding point, right?
That is.
And you would
Yes.
both agree with me that you're going to have to resolve it, or else you're going to have to continue, because if we get called there, and we violate, you'll be back in front of us, and then there are fines, and then there's suspensions, and those things. And there's no reason for that. It sounds like you've done a lot of good work, and thank you, Councilman, for doing this, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. So I just would encourage you to try to come up with some creative way to deal with that other issue.
We appreciate that.
I think commissioners agree with me, don't you?
Yes, no question.
Yes.
Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, this matter is closed and ready for adjudication. So based on the testimony that was heard at the previous hearing, Mr. Blendy, what was the date of that?
Your Honor, protests of renewal were on April the 27th, 2023.
I want to incorporate all the testimony and documentation, everything that was presented to the board on that date, and add to it that which we've heard this morning, which includes a commitment by the licensees to abide by these 4 new areas of agreement that they've reached with the community organization, and have those obligations be made part of their license as well, and with the encouragement and admonition from the board to try to resolve the closing time issue so it doesn't fester and continue to harm the reputation. I want to thank the licensees for their cooperation in this. I want to thank the community for working with everybody on this. But on the basis of all that, I'm prepared to vote to renew the license for the coming year. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, based upon the testimony that's been incorporated from April 27, 2023, along with the proffered arguments and evidence before us, I too would vote to renew the license subject to the additional terms added to the MOU that will be made part of the license to the extent they're permitted by law, and would also encourage both sides to try and address the special sporting event issue. I know it's a tricky one, and it puts the liquor board in an awkward position of enforcing the law about what it is that will constitute a special sporting event to stay open beyond that period of time. So, good luck.
Based on testimony materials provided today, I also vote to approve the renewal of Sangria's license, subject to the 4 points we have in front of us. And I too want to thank everyone for working together to make this possible. Thank you, Councilman Costello. Appreciate it. So, as I said, I vote to approve the renewal.
Are there any additions to the record, Ms. Russell?
Yes, I'd like to close exhibit for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, MOU terms. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's hope that this continues to go well.
We hope this is the last time we'll see you. Thank you.
That concludes item number 1 on today's docket. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Calling the next regular item on today's docket, Broadway Hot Pot LLC, trading as Broadway Hot Pot. Proposed premises are located at 709 South Broadway. This is an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Craig Schwartz on behalf of the applicant.
Good morning, Mr. Schwartz. Are you going to ask them to testify or are you going to proffer?
Proffer.
Okay, you may.
Thank you. Before the board is an application for transfer of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license from Belomas Properties for the premises located at 709 South Broadway. This was formerly the location of Dog Watch Tavern, which has been closed. This is a secured creditor transfer. The application is filed by Broadway Hot Pot LLC, which has a contract to purchase the license. With me today are the applicants, Zhiwan Liu, Yining Wang, and Hongshan Zhang.
Morning, gentlemen.
Hopefully I said that properly. Mr. Liu, Mr. Wang, and Mr. Zhang are all authorized persons under the operating agreement for the LLC to serve as licensees in accordance with Rule 201D. They are each members of the LLC, Mr. Liu at 43.75%, Mr. Wang 9.38%, and Mr. Zhang at 46.87%. The witnesses have confirmed that they signed the application, that at the time they signed it, the information was true and accurate, and that it remains true and accurate as of today. Mr. Wang is a Baltimore City resident and is going to serve as the resident licensee. He's resided in Baltimore City for approximately 8 years. The applicants all have equal management authority, and they'll be actively involved in operations.
They have experience in handling alcohol?
They do not.
Have they been certified, or are they going to get trained?
They are registered to each be certified, and they plan on having all of the employees that are going to be responsible for serving alcoholic beverages be certified as well. This will be a Chinese restaurant. It's a hot pot style restaurant where they bring hot soup to the table. They're going to have a full Chinese type menu, which should be part of the record. Sample that's under development right now. The hours of operation will be planned to be 11 to 9 daily. Mr. Liu is going to have primary responsibility for the day-to-day operations. He's the owner of Simply Sip Tea, which is a drink shop on Eastern Avenue and High Street. He's successfully operated that for 3 years now and brings a wealth of experience to this new venture. The applicants plan to settle on the purchase within a week, subject to the board's approval, of course. And they're going to be performing some significant renovations to the property, which I think are going to be greatly welcomed. The plans for the improvements also should be part of the record.
What kind of live entertainment do you provide with Chinese soup?
It depends on the holiday.
I guess, gentlemen, can you raise your right hands for a second so we're going to take
yeah.
testimony?
Raise your right hand.
Yep.
You swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make are the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And can you also identify yourself when you speak?
Yeah, just if you step up to the microphone, please.
Oh, hi. I'm Ziyuan Lu. You can call me Frank. And Your Honor, in answer to the question of a live entertainment, it's probably very classic Chinese kind of style, instruments and stuff.
Traditional music.
Traditional music and nothing too loud. And of course,
Chinese rock.
could be, especially on the holidays, New Year's and Dragon Boat Festival, maybe.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
But not, it's not going to be a concern about disturbing the, I mean, Fells Point's not hard, it's pretty hard to disturb as loud as it is generally, but that's not going to be an issue, right?
Yeah, we understand. We talk to the residents like around us, and they totally understand.
I see that you've got support from 2 of the community organizations in here as well.
Correct.
So, okay. So you've discussed all these issues with them?
Yep, absolutely.
Go ahead, please, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you. Yeah, you are correct, Your Honor. They do have letters of support from the Fells Point Residents Association, who has indicated that they're in favor of this new addition to the neighborhood, as well as Fells Point Main Street, which they indicated in their letter they're excited for this, and that they think it's going to reactivate this currently vacant storefront, which they're looking forward to. The applicants have received a copy of the rules and regulations. They understand that as licensees, they're responsible for compliance with those rules and regulations.
The prior licensee had some problems with us. It's been a while, since no problems since 2017, but before that there were some. So you need to be very careful about those things. And I will say this, the legislature has sent us a message. They have increased our power to fine licensees for violations up to $20,000 per violation as of October. So things, or July?
July.
I thought it was
July 1st.
Oh, July 1. So people should be on their P's and Q's.
Yes, even more so with that. That would conclude the proffer of the testimony that will be presented by the witnesses today, and unless the...
I have one last question about outdoor service. How many tables outside?
I think they're up to 4, with 4 at each table.
Okay. The commissioners have questions?
No question.
No questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schwartz. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the additional documents that had been received this morning, proffer from council and testimony received, I vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this BG7 beer, wine, and liquor license with continued live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Based upon the application, the proffer and testimony, I too would approve this application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
That's based on the testimony and materials provided today. I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Ms. Russell?
Medical exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1, building plan. 2, menu. 3, letter of support from Fells Point Residents Association. And 4, letter of support from Fells Point Main Street.
Thank you. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council is receiving instructions on how to submit the required documents to legally complete the transfer of ownership that the board preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
The next matter on the regular items of the docket is Fielders LLC, trading as Fielders Tavern. Premises are located at 1184 to 86 Nanacoke Street. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
Thank you, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant.
Is that Mr. Warfield to your right?
No, that is actually his manager, Mr. Summers. Oh, my gosh, you are Mr. Warfield.
See, he tries to change your identification.
I
Don't let him do
did.
it.
I did. So
Lawyers are tricky that way.
I'd be happy to proffer.
Okay,
My
well,
client-
we got a letter from Mr. Warfield
Yeah.
on May 1 requesting this extension. So what's going on?
So they went to pick up the license, and there was there was a tax issue or something like that I believe has been resolved. So they were going to pick up the license. I want to say like May. What's the date of the letter on that?
May 1.
Yeah, on May 1st, and because there was a deadline coming up, the 180 days or 270 for that matter. No, 180. So everything's good to go. They hope to go to the office and pick up the license today.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No question.
No
All right.
question.
Thank you. On the basis then of the applicant's letter of May 1 and the proffer from council this morning on behalf of Mr. Warfield, I would vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for the license.
Based upon the May 1st letter and the proffer, I too would grant the 90-day transfer hardship extension.
Based on the testimony, materials, and letter sent from the licensee, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you, council, and thank you, Mr. Warfield. Good luck.
Good luck to you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The next item on the regular dockets is Carola Cafe LLC, trading as Carola Cafe. Premises are located at 426 South Newkirk Street. And this is another 90-day request for a transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Harry Previs on behalf of the applicants.
You want to tell us what's going on, Mr. Previs?
Yes, there are just a few outstanding items on the transfer list, and they're only a couple steps away, maybe a week away from completing this transfer. So if we could get the 90 days extension, we should be done well
Okay.
within time.
On the basis of the letter that Peter Previs sent us on May 1, as well as your proffer this morning, Mr. Harry Previs, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this BD7 license.
Based upon the May 1st letter and the proffer this morning, I too would grant the 90-day transfer hardship extension.
Based on the testimony, materials, and the letter from the attorney, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move on to the violations, Mr. Chair? Item number 1 on the violations docket. Sai Baba Hospitality LLC, trading as El Dragoon Sport Bar and Restaurant. Premises are located at 200 South Haven Street, holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, and are charged with one violation of the board's rules stemming from one incident on March 30th, 2023, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors for furnishing.
Counsel?
Yes, this is at admission.
Okay, and for the record, your name again, please.
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman.
Okay. Do you want to provide some explanation?
I'd be happy to. First of all, I think everybody here would agree that Mr. Sharma is always polite and cooperative.
Am I getting nods of, okay.
All right. That said, Mr. Sharma is disappointed with the lack of administration by his bartenders. Your Honor, Mr. Sharma, the Sharma family has actually advertised the premises for auction. They have successfully run a neighborhood liquor store on Harford Road for 15 years, and this is a wild horse by comparison. You may remember Mr. Sharma was in here a few months ago, pepper sprayed by his own security guard as a result of a fight at closing time. The Sharma family is grateful for your consideration in this matter, but it's probably time. I think they recognize that that they need some new ownership that's going to be able to effectively police.
Are they remaining open?
I believe they are open now. That is my understanding. They are, but they are. This is something where it was an education for the serving staff. There are now signs up indicating that no ID, no service. I don't want to minimize any underage service, but this has sort of been the least of their problem as far as closing time. They've been closing on time, and there have been any violations there. But it's quite a bit of work at this particular place, and so we'd ask for your consideration.
Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
All right. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, including the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sale to minor, on March 30, 2023. This same licensee was before the board in February and fined $250 for sale to minor. This time I would fine him $500 and give him 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A on March 30, 2023, and concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Yes, based on testimony and materials provided today, I agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A Sales to minors on March 30th, 2023, and a fine of $500.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibit for the record. Exhibit number 1, violation report, Inspector Tudhope.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Sharma. I hope you can transfer the place. And thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Thank you, folks. Guess you better stick around, though.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 2 on the violation. Excuse me. Item number 2 on the violations docket. Amigos Bar Incorporated, trading as Amigos Bar. Premises are located at 400 South Eton Street. Holders of a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, and charged with 1 violation of the board's rules. That is a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors for furnishing, stemming from 1 incident on March 30th, 2023.
Good morning, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the licensees. We are here before you with an admission.
Okay. You want to explain again?
I do. Thank you. First of all, this offense occurred prior to our last visit here to City Hall, wherein the licensees were found guilty on April 13th of prohibited hours. So what I'd like to say here is that this is an establishment that understands, I mean, by virtue of its record, that that significant problems have occurred in the past, and they are actively trying to go to the future without these problems. To wit, we've researched that they're in a C1 district. They are going to apply for legal live entertainment next month. Furthermore, they're looking for a 7-day license so that they could stay open until 2 a.m. legally. None of that addresses an underage sale. You will, however, notice from their record that they have never been charged with an underage sale.
Just about everything else. But
that's right. But that in particular has not been an issue. They also have put signage in Spanish indicating that the servers are not to serve under any cases without ID or they will be fired. I would, once again, I want to draw your attention. I think I did last time. It says that the license was transferred on 4/7/15, and that would mean that this December 11th, 2014 prohibited hours illegal conduct was not theirs. Nevertheless, their record is...
this is their 5th.
Right.
Okay. Did I ask you, Commissioners, did you have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Just who is this your case primarily? Just raise your right hand for a second, please.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have any explanation for why they're in repeated violation?
Can you go to the microphone, Inspector Tudhope?
I do not. They just seem to not learn from their past mistakes.
But you have communicated with them?
I have not, but maybe Chief Chris Malice has.
Okay.
We usually have Spanish-speaking inspectors with us, so maybe
Agent Perez,
Agent
have
Perez.
you had an opportunity to speak with them?
You're going to have to swear, too.
The violation. Okay. All right.
And Your Honor, just very briefly, I just want to once again iterate that they have learned from the mistakes that they came before the board on April 13th for. Unfortunately, this occurred before their last visit to the board. Thank you.
So they're coming back before us for an additional expansion of their license, essentially, right? Live entertainment and a 7-day. Why should we entrust them? I mean, we'll take that up then, but given their history, you have to be thinking.
Before we get to you, we've got to go to Greektown to the neighbors.
Gotcha.
Before we do that, we have to go to zoning before we see you again. So I can't promise.
Time. All right.
Right, it's going to be an easy ride, but they want to come into compliance.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, including his admission and the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on March 30, 2023. The record is really troubling. I understand that you had a subsequent comeuppance here even after this, and according to counsel, you've learned from it, but I'm going to impose a $1,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer and admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor on March 30, 2023, and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on March the 30th, 2023, with a fine of $1,000.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits of the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Ted Hope.
Ms. Fogelman, you can tell your clients next time they're going to be closed down, okay?
Thank you, Your
For some
Honor.
period of time.
I will.
All right.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
The next item on the violations docket, case number 3, STT Incorporated, trading as Pratt Liquor and Convenience. Premises are located at 1816 to 1818 East Pratt Street. Holders of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license and are charged with 2 violations of the board's rules stemming from the same incident on March 30th, 2023, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors for selling, and a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the licensees. Don't do an admission with a weight of mitigation in this case.
You're admitting both? Admitting both violations?
Yeah.
All right.
Although
Please.
it was a,
It's the same
yeah.
fact situation, but go ahead.
Yeah, this licensees that have purchased this property, it was an area where the neighbors, they're really well thought of there. They have a convenience store. It was so well thought of that the neighbors backed the change in zoning for them to go have a Class A license. They haven't been before the board before. Mr. Equabay's the husband. He's usually there all the time. He had gone home. The fellow that was there, you can see it by his name, they're there from Eritrea. And I think, quite frankly, the gentleman probably got a little scared, a little shaky. I can't think how many more letters he could have in his name that he has there.
Chief Chris Samalas can be intimidating.
He's the one that's Greek that's Irish and Chris O'Malis. But I don't think you're going to see that happen again. The gentleman was not. It was a fairly new employee there. He has been working there for a while. They don't know if they're going to have him come back or not. But normally, Mr. Equabay or his wife are there almost all the time. I don't think you're going to see
Can I
that.
ask Chief for a second to come up? Be sworn, please.
I'll give you the microphone.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Was it really a situation of intimidation and miscommunication, or was he obnoxious?
I think it was he just didn't want to be identified. He kept patting his pants. He's saying, I don't have ID, I don't have ID. Then I think he talked to this gentleman who was the owner. And I told him that if his employee doesn't provide ID, then we're going to have to charge them for not having employee records also. And at that point, he provided the ID.
Okay.
He wasn't combative or threatening. He just
might have been frightened
with giving his ID.
Don't know what his immigration status is, and maybe that might have been part of it. I don't know. Okay, commissioners have any questions?
No, just, Mr. Chair, is that what triggered the corporation was the phone call. And they should automatically, when the inspector comes to the establishment and they ask for ID or whatever, they should be handing it over to the inspectors.
Yeah, he needs to train his people to respond better. But
Yeah, that's the reason why I was trying to talk to them in their language and so forth. It's not an excuse. It's just a matter of having them go forth. But like I say, the neighborhood really went to bat for him there. And
he has no prior violations, so I don't, he's just got to get this straightened out so he doesn't come back.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Based on the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, including the admissions and the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on March 30, 2023, and impose a $250 fine. Give him 30 days to pay. I find a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, on March 30, 2023, impose a $250 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer and admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor, on March 30, 2023, and concur with the imposition of a $250 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, on March 30, 2023, and concur with the imposition of a $250 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I agree with the chair's findings of violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor, on March the 30th, 2023, with a fine of $250. Also, I agree with the violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, on March the 30th, 2023, with a fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Agent Perez.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kadensky. Good luck, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move forward, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
please.
Item number 4 on the violations docket, Fishtail Spirits, LLC, trading as Fishtail Spirits. Premises are located at 3800 East Lombard Street, number 13. Holders of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license and are charged with 1 violation of the board's rules to a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors for selling on an incident dated March 30th, 2023.
Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman. This will be an admission.
Okay. You want to provide some explanation, Mr.
I
Fogelman?
sure do, Your Honor. This one's a little personal. Went through a lot to transfer this liquor license. Mr. Chetri is grateful to the board for that. In fact, Mr. Chetri immediately has reached out to the community. He's provided gifts for the Highlandtown Community Association's Easter egg hunt and other activities. Really brought himself in. The neighbors report that they're very pleased with the store. It's clean, the products. So it was very bad news when I got the call that Mr. Chetri's brother had sold to an underage cadet. Even more so because Mr. Chetri is in there about 90% of the time. That's who you're going to get when you go to the cash register.
Problem with brothers.
Yes, so the brother still works there. The brother is now absolutely informed as to how much work it took to get this business up and running, and that anything like this could jeopardize all that progress. So he understands now, no ID, no service, no exceptions.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No question.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, including the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on March 30, 2023. Mr. Chetri has no prior violations. I'd impose a $250 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer and admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on March 30, 2023, and concur with the imposition of $250 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor, on March the 30th, 2023, and with a fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, investigation report, Inspector Tuthope.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Chetri. and
Thank you all.
thanks, Mr. Fogelman.
Have a great weekend.
And that concludes this matter before the board. And that concludes the underage charges, Mr. Chair. I think may we excuse the cadets and thank
Yes,
them?
thank you, cadets. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you, cadets. I know you didn't get to testify, but had you not been here, they would have all pled not guilty, and we would not have been able to find them. See you next time. Then shall I call what will end up being the final case, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Just for the record, the final matter on today's docket has been postponed at the request. Therefore, item number 5 on today's docket will be the final hearing before the board. That is RYE LLC, trading as Rye. Premises are located at 1639 Thames Street. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and is charged with 2 violations of the board's rules stemming from an incident on April the 1st, 2023, and that is a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct for violating the building, fire, and related codes of Baltimore City, Section 308.1.8.
Counsel.
Abraham Hearn on behalf of Rye LLC, trading as Rye. With me is the manager who was there that day.
What is the gentleman's name?
Mr. Perez.
You want to raise your right hand, please, Mr. Perez?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I had to read this several times to grasp what happened. It's a very unique occurrence.
Something about a fireball or an explosion. My client
a balloon
will not
popped allegedly, and the customer threw alcohol on the flames.
Yeah. So, if I may, my understanding of the circumstances is that there was some drink that was being made in some capacity with some sort of, smoked cocktail, or, you heat the peel to squeeze the essence or oil out of it. and there were some birthday balloons. This was a private party that may or may not have caught fire, and then somebody nearby threw their drink, and ultimately it was.
Two people got some kind of burn?
My understanding is there were 2 people who were possibly injured. Again, there's a pending civil matter that, yeah. But the building wasn't on fire, the bar wasn't on fire. There was a very temporary fire of some variety. And I think there were people who went out and contacted the liquor board and or some inspectors who were down there, and they came in and the place was emptied out. The location is no longer doing any sort of cocktails, drinks, or anything of that variety with any sort of ignitable or ignition type device. It's my understanding that there are permits that can be applied for should they decide to kind of go back to doing that in the future. But for now, any and all of that is on indefinite hold in perpetuity.
Did you want to add something, Chief?
No, that's about what happened.
Did the people seem severely injured?
The one female that was outside did look like she probably had a good amount of burns on her neck and her shoulder area.
I'm not sure how foreseeable this was, but in any event, commissioners have questions?
No questions.
I don't have any questions.
So are you admitting that this occurred, Mr. Hurdle?
We are admitting that there was a fire of some variety. We're not admitting to a violation for a number of reasons.
All right. Well, on the basis of materials contained in the charging documents, the statements from counsel and testimony received, here's the way I see it. I'm not so sure that what happened was a foreseeable violation of our rule. So I would dismiss the violation of Rule 3.12. I think it was clearly a violation of the fire department rules and regulations. So I'd find a violation of Rule 4.16. They don't have any history of violations, so I'd impose a $250 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging documents, the proffer, the testimony, I too would dismiss the violation of Rule 3.12 on April 1st, 2023, and would find a violation of Rule 4.16 on April 1, 2023, and impose a $250 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I agree with the chair's findings. The dismiss violation, Rule 3.12, general welfare on April 1st, 2023. And on the violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, building fire-related codes of Baltimore City, Section 308.1.8, with a fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Any exhibits for the record? Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Chief Inspector Mr. Mellis.
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. Good luck, sir. Yes.
That concludes this matter before the board.
Does that conclude our docket for today, Mr.
Yes,
Bundy?
Your Honor. Item number 6, as previously stated, has been postponed and will be heard at a future hearing of the board. There are no more matters.
You want to read the adjournment then?
Yes, Your Honor. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City shall stand in recess until Thursday, June 15th at 10:30 a.m. here in room 215, City Hall, Baltimore. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you to the commissioners. Thank you to the staff and everyone. And good work. We'll see you the next time.
Off the record.